The cycle of violence is overcome by loving our enemies. Hi everyone, my name is Jared. I want to help you know and follow Jesus. In these videos, I'm sharing 10 convictions for how to follow Jesus in a violent and divisive world. These are the convictions I want to instill in my own family, and I hope they help you. And this video is conviction 5. So let's dive right in. We move into a command from Christ, and this flows from our first 4 convictions. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. We were his enemies, but he loves us, 2 and 3, and the Spirit makes us new creations. So therefore we obey him and do what he commands in the power of the Spirit, which brings us to conviction 5, which is this: love your neighbor and love your enemy. Leviticus 19:18 says, "Do not take revenge or bear a grudge against members of your community, but love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord." And Matthew 5:43-45 says, "You've heard that it was said, 'Love your neighbor and hate your enemy.' But I tell you, love your enemy and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be children of your Father in heaven." These 2 statements are closer than we think. Revenge and grudge are enemy terms. The command to love your neighbor assumes there's going to be some conflict. I'll give you one more quote from St. Ambrose. "No one heals himself by wounding another." In the Gospels, Jesus tells of a servant forgiven a massive debt, who then violently attacks a fellow servant for a small debt. The master is enraged. He said, "If I forgave your great debt, you must forgive his small debt." And this story Jesus tells, shows us the great forgiveness of God towards us, with the mandate that we turn around and forgive the debts others might owe us. God proves his love for us. While we were enemies, Christ died to save us. Therefore, we're called to love our enemies as the way of Christ. We also see that this shows the absurdity of not forgiving one another. See, we're all such great enemies of God and forgiven by him. Therefore, we got to turn around and figure out how to forgive and love one another. It doesn't mean we pretend we don't have enemies. We do. You will have enemies. You have Christ as the way, the truth, and the life. And other people you know belong to something else as their way, truth, and life. So there will be conflict. Christ commands us to love our enemies. It is wrong for me not to love my neighbor and not to love my enemy. Notice the line from Matthew 5. "Love your enemies so that you may be children of your Father." To claim to be a child of God means loving enemies and praying for those who persecute you. It has nothing to do with how they treat you. They are your enemy. Of course they might not treat you well. If God is your Father and Christ your brother, you love your enemy and pray for those who persecute you. I don't like this teaching all the time, right? That's why Jesus gives us such a clear command on this one. Also, he's just right. It's the only practical solution. To stop a cycle of violence back and forth, someone has to overcome the violence and hate with actions of suffering love and forgiveness. Do you genuinely love your enemy? Probably not. But here's a starting point. Pray for your enemies. We can all do that. Whatever you need to do to obey this command, do it. But start by praying for your enemies. And then from there, you can start showing them acts of kindness. Believe Jesus as the way, the truth, and the life. And ask him and say to him, "Lord, I believe I am to love my enemies. Now, Lord, help my unbelief." Thank you for listening, and you can check out our other videos on convictions. Hear this closing prayer. Father, make us like you, loving enemies. Give us your heart for our enemies. Amen.